Hey, so in this video, I want to talk about why do gurus have so many scandals? So almost every guru who became famous in the West has had a scandal, if not every, a large percentage of them. And I want to look at why. So this is sort of a soft follow-on to my previous video in which I talked about spiritual imposter syndrome. And in that video, I said that while people like me are scared of putting myself out there because I'm not good enough, and I feel many people feel that we need to meditate more before we can teach. There are certain narcissistic types and religious fundamentalist types who have no shame in putting themselves out there as experts. And so what happens is that the people talking about spirituality are the people least qualified to talk about it, because the narcissistic types are boasting about how great they are while other people are shy. So I'll expand on that why today. So I find that there are two type of gurus who go bad. You know, the first is people who had a genuine spiritual experience, but then they failed in some way, and they couldn't live up to the moral standard or the high standard that was expected of them. The second time is spiritual predators, who had no interest in spirituality or meditation, and whose only goal from the beginning had been to, take advantage of people. So I'm not going to talk about spiritual predators because that's a very depressing topic. Maybe in a future video. This video, I'm only going to talk about people who had genuine experiences but then went bad. So to start off, I want to talk about the enlightenment line. We think that there's a line, a straight line. If you cross the line, you're enlightened. So over here, not enlightened, enlightened, not enlightened, enlightened. And we think there's a binary state, either or, like a computer. And you're either enlightened or you're not enlightened. But that's not true. In reality, spiritual progress is more of a spectrum. So you can have multiple states. You on the left hand you can have extremely angry social media type users, and on this other end you can have like enlightened Buddhas, spiritual masters. And people lie all along the spectrum. You can have people who are religious but not spiritual. You can have religious fanatics. You can have people who do some meditation. You can have people who have had a lot of spiritual experiences but are not enlightened. So you've got a multi um, spectrum of experiences. But for some reason, we only think of, you know, in a very binary state, either enlightened or not enlightened. So that's what I want to talk about today. And we think that, you can be one of these two states, but you can have people who have had genuine spiritual experiences, uh, but they're still not 100% enlightened. And I count myself in that state. Uh, my website talks about more about this. I don't want to talk about too much about myself. So what happens in a spiritual awakening, I'll use the word awakening, is that the light of, I don't know, call it anything, the infinite, or the divine intelligence falls in our brain, and it enlightens a part of our mind. And and the experience we have might be genuine, but the problem is that the rest of the body still is in a state of resistance. So if you've seen an iceberg, if the statistic is that 90% of the iceberg is beneath the water, it's the same with us. 90% of our problems are deep in our subconscious. So when we have an experience of the infinite, part of our brain sees it and becomes, oh, I'm so spiritual. And the rest of it is in darkness, and the rest of this darkness rushes towards the light. It tries to either swallow the light. In ancient stories, like ancient Egyptian and ancient Indian, we had these stories of demons who wanted to swallow the sun. Bits like that. These negative tendencies in ourselves. They want to swallow the light of spirituality and eat it, as it were. And that's the problem we have to face. That's the problem that I faced. That um, even after spiritual experiences, you still have this darkness inside of you. And it's been taken me many years, like past 6 or 7 years, and it's still a work in progress, in which I'm trying to fight this darkness. It's a ongoing process. It's not a one. You're either enlightened, you're not enlightened. So with that in mind, why do gurus go bad? The first thing is many traditional paths and many religions. They're based in spiritual bypassing. So they try to hide their darkness. They try to pretend that this world is fake or it's an illusion or it's a sin, and they want to transcend the world. And the way that they do is that they suppress their negativity, they suppress their darkness, they suppress their shadow. And what happens is when you suppress something, it becomes stronger. That's what happens with many spiritual types. They have a genuine spiritual experience, but then their shadow, their darkness rises up and it takes over them. That's why good gurus, even people who have had many spiritual experiences, can go bad. One more thing I've seen is that gurus are treated like celebrities. There's a lot of guru worship going on. The guru is treated as a super, like Taylor Swift or something. And the problem with that is that on the one side you have people worshipping the guru, on the other side you have got people trying to tear the guru down. Just like with celebrities, right? You're either worshipping them or attacking them. So I personally think we should not treat gurus as celebrities. We should admit that they're human beings. They might have flaws in them. They might have made mistakes. And again, I'm not talking about spiritual predators. I'm only talking about genuine people who made a mistake. So don't treat your guru like a superstar. In summary, why do gurus have so many scandals? The first reason is they have the shadow or the darkness which they don't work through. And second, they're treated like celebrities, so they don't get the chance to, you know, work through their darkness themselves. So my solution is to this is that when you're working with any teacher, spiritual teacher, look at the teaching, not the teacher. Don't get stuck into a personality cult. The second thing is I treat spiritual teachers like I would treat a tennis coach. Would your tennis coach ask you to worship their photo or kiss their feet? Would your tennis coach ask you to come back to their room for private lessons? Would your tennis coach ask you to join their gang or their cult? Why do we teach spiritual gurus different? Yeah. Anybody who thinks that somebody who's mastered meditation is somehow special is suffering from spiritual arrogance or spiritual narcissism. Just because we master meditation doesn't make us better than other people. We need to learn this humility. We need to learn this, you know, self-compassion and self-kindness, and accept that everyone is at the level that they're at, and that we're not better than others just because we meditate more. So that was a bit long about. This is what I wanted to say. This is why many gurus go bad. And in our own life, if we have a spiritual experience for ourselves and myself, we need to continue working ourselves, and never think that we have crossed a line and it's it. No, I'm enlightened, because we can always the darkness inside us can always grab us. I think I'll close with a quote by Adeshanti. He was asked, "Are you enlightened?" He said, "Nobody can answer this question. The only thing I can answer is," Adeshanti said this, "the only thing we can say is that am I awake this second, this moment." That's the only thing we can say with 100% guarantee.